The phone rang, a shrill cry slicing through the quiet of James Harper's small kitchen. But he already knew it was Lily. Her calls always came like storms, sudden, fierce, and leaving him breathless. Tonight, though, the silence that followed her voice would break him in ways he never imagined. James, 45, sat at the chipped oak table, his calloused hands tracing the edge of a faded photo, him and Lily. Her gap-toothed grin at 6. Him beaming with pride at a school play. That was before she grew up, before the world wedged itself between them. A gay single dad in a small Ohio town. James had raised Lily alone since she was 4. After her mother left them for a life she called better, he'd fought for her through whispered slurs at PTA meetings, through nights working double shifts at the factory to keep her in ballet shoes, through the ache of hiding his own heart to shield her from more pain. Now, at 22, Lily was a stranger, her voice on the phone sharp with demands he couldn't meet. "Dad, it's the wedding," she said, her tone clipped. "I need $10. 000. The venue won't wait." James's stomach twisted. He glanced at the stack of bills: electric, rent, hospital from last year's scary reminder of how little he had. "Lily, I don't have that kind of money. I can try to." "You always say that." Her voice cracked, a mix of anger and something softer, like grief. "This is my dream. Dad, don't you care?" He cared. God, he cared. But love didn't pay for chandeliers or silk dresses. "I'll figure something out," he whispered. But the line was already dead. James leaned back, the chair creaking under his weight. The kitchen, with its peeling wallpaper and faint smell of coffee, felt emptier now. A faded pride flag hung on the wall, a relic from when he'd first come out to Lily at 16. Her eyes wide but accepting. "You're still my dad," she'd said then, hugging him tight. Where had that girl gone? He stood, pacing to the window. Outside, the Ohio dusk painted the sky in bruise-like purples. He thought of the years he'd spent building a life for Lily, every sacrifice, every moment he'd chosen her over himself. He'd dated sparingly, always cautious, always putting her first. There was Mark, a kind mechanic who'd stayed for 2 years. But Lily's teenage rebellion had driven a wedge, and James let him go. "It's just us," he'd told her. "Always just us." Now, she was engaged to Ethan, a slick finance bro from Columbus who seemed to love her but measured life in dollars and status. James had met him twice, each time feeling the weight of Ethan's dismissive glances, as if James's flannel shirts and modest home were relics of a lesser world. Lily had changed around Ethan, her laughter sharper, her dreams bigger, her patience with James thinner. The phone buzzed again. A text: "If you can't help, don't bother coming." His heart sank. Lily's wedding was in 3 months, and she'd cut him out over money he didn't have. He sank back into the chair, the photo of 6-year-old Lily staring back. How had it come to this? The next morning, James drove to the factory, the hum of machinery drowning out his thoughts. His coworker, Sarah, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, noticed his silence. "You okay, Jimmy?" she asked, wiping grease from her hands. He hesitated. Sarah knew his story, most of the factory did. Small towns talked. "Lily's wedding," he said finally. "She wants a fancy one. I can't afford it." Sarah snorted. "Kids these days think love's measured in price tags. You talk to her." "She won't listen." His voice was low, raw. "She says I'm letting her down." Sarah's eyes softened. "You raised her alone, James. You gave her everything. She'll see that." But would she? James clocked out early, driving to the local diner where he and Lily used to share milkshakes. The booth felt too big now. The memory too heavy. He ordered a coffee, staring at the menu without seeing it. A man slid into the booth across from him, Tom. A high school friend who'd stayed in town. Now a bartender with a warm smile and graying hair. Heard about Lily, Tom said, unprompted. News traveled fast. You holding up? James shrugged, the weight of the night before pressing down. She's ashamed of me. Tom. Of this life. I thought I taught her better. Tom leaned forward, his voice steady. You taught her to dream. That's not small. She's just lost in the glitter right now. James wanted to believe him, but the sting of Lily's words lingered. He left the diner, driving aimlessly until he stopped at the community center where he volunteered. The center, a haven for queer youth, was his refuge, a place where he could be himself, where his story mattered. Tonight, a group of teens was painting a mural, their laughter filling the air. James joined them, picking up a brush, letting the colors blur his pain. One of the kids, Alex, a 17-year-old with a buzz cut and a shy smile, nudged him. You look sad, Mr. H. James forced a grin. Just life, kid. Alex nodded, wise beyond their years. Family's tough, but you're, like, the coolest dad here. The words hit harder than James expected. He painted in silence, thinking of Lily, of the wedding, of the gap between them. He couldn't give her the $10. 000. But maybe he could give her something else, something to remind her who they were. That night, he sat at the kitchen table, pulling out an old shoebox of letters and photos. He began writing to Lily, not about money, but about their life together, every moment, every sacrifice, every love. The words poured out, raw and unfiltered, a father's heart laid bare. He didn't know if she'd read it, but he had to try. As the clock struck midnight, James sealed the letter, his hands trembling. The wedding was a deadline, but this was his last chance to reach her. He whispered to the empty room, I'm still your dad, Lily. And in the quiet, he hoped she'd remember. James woke to the sound of rain tapping the roof, each drop a reminder of the letter he'd written. It sat on the table, unsealed. His heart spilled across the pages. He hadn't slept. Not really. Lily's text, don't bother coming, looped in his mind like a cruel refrain. He sipped coffee, bitter and cold, staring at the letter. It wasn't enough. Not yet. Words could mend, but they could also wound. And he feared pushing Lily further away. He tucked the letter into the shoebox, deciding to wait. Today, he'd try another way to reach her. The rain followed him to the factory, where the air smelled of oil and metal. Sarah caught him at break, her eyes narrowing. You look worse than yesterday. Jimmy. Spill. He told her about the letter, the text, the ache in his chest. Sarah listened, her face softening. She's young, she said. She's chasing a fairy tale. Give her time. Time's the one thing I don't have, James muttered. The wedding was in 12 weeks, and Lily's silence felt like a countdown. After his shift, he drove to Columbus, to the boutique where Lily worked. He hadn't seen her in person since Christmas, when she'd hugged him but left early for Ethan's family. The shop was sleek, all glass and white walls, a world apart from their modest home. Lily stood behind the counter, her dark hair pulled back, her smile professional until she saw him. Dad. Her voice wavered, surprise giving way to unease. What are you doing here? I wanted to see you, James said, his throat tight. Can we talk? She glanced at a coworker, then nodded stiffly. They stepped outside, the rain now a drizzle. Lily crossed her arms, her engagement ring glinting. If this is about the money. It's not. James took a breath, steadying himself. It's about us. I miss you, Lily. Her eyes flickered, but her jaw stayed tight. I'm busy, Dad. The wedding's a lot. Ethan's handling most of it. But it's everything I've wanted. James nodded, though it stung. I want you to have that. I want to be part of it. Lily's gaze dropped. You don't get it. Ethan's familiarly helping. They've got connections. Money. I can't just. She trailed off. But the unspoken hung heavy. You can't. He swallowed the hurt. I raised you to stand up for yourself. Not to measure your worth by what someone else can buy. Her eyes flashed. And I raised myself half the time. You were always working. Always at that center. I needed you. Dad. Not your causes. The words cut deep, slicing through years of memories, nights reading bedtime stories, mornings braiding her hair. I was there, he said quietly. Every day? Lily shook her head, turning away. I have to get back to work. He watched her go, the glass doors shutting between them. The drive home was a blur. Rain streaking the windshield like tears he wouldn't let fall. Back at the house, he pulled out the shoebox again, adding a new photo to the pile, Lily at her high school graduation. Her smile bright, his arm around her. He'd been so proud. Had he failed her then, too? The next day, James volunteered at the community center, needing the distraction. The kids were planning a pride event. Their energy infectious. Alex, the teen from before, showed him a sketch for the Murala Rainbow Heart with names of local queer heroes. James's name was there, small but bold. You put me on this? James asked, surprised. Alex shrugged, grinning. You're like a legend. Raising Lily alone. Being out in this town. That's brave. James's throat tightened. Brave. He didn't feel it. He felt like a man losing his daughter to a world he couldn't afford. But Alex's words stuck. And that night, he wrote another letter, not to Lily, but to himself. A reminder of who he was, who he'd fought to be. The weeks passed, each day a battle against silence. Lily didn't call, didn't text. James kept working, kept volunteering, kept writing. The shoebox grew heavier, filled with memories and unsent words. He started talking to Tom more. Their diner meetups a lifeline. Tom, who'd come out later in life, understood the weight of living authentically in a small town. You ever think about fighting for her? Tom asked one night, nursing a beer. I've been fighting my whole life. James said. For her. For me. I'm tired. Tom. Tom leaned closer, his voice low. Then fight smarter. Show her what matters. James thought about that, the idea taking root. He began collecting small things, ticket stubs from Lily's dance recitals, a drawing she'd made at 8, a note she'd left him in college. Thanks for everything, Dad. He wasn't sure what he'd do with them, but they felt like pieces of a bridge. One evening, Sarah invited him to her house for dinner. Her wife, Maria, cooked a spread of lasagna and garlic bread. The warmth of their home a stark contrast to his own. Over wine, they talked about family, about love, about loss. You can't force her to see you, Maria said gently, but you can remind her who you are. James nodded, the shoebox in his mind. I'm trying. I just don't know if it's enough. It's enough, Sarah said firmly. You're enough. That night, James sat at his table, the rain gone, the sky clear. He pulled out the letter he'd written to Lily and added a new page. He wrote about the pride flag on their wall, about the nights he'd stayed up worrying, about the love that had carried them through. He didn't ask for forgiveness or money. He just asked her to remember. He sealed the letter, addressing it to her apartment in Columbus. It was a risk, but he had to take it. The wedding loomed closer, and with it, the fear that he'd lose her for good. But James Harper had never stopped fighting, not for himself, not for Lily. And he wouldn't stop now. The letter sat in the mailbox, its weight heavier than paper. James watched the mail truck disappear down the street, his heart pounding with hope and dread. He'd poured everything into those words. But would Lily read them? Or would they end up unopened? Another casualty of their rift. Days passed without a reply. James threw himself into routine factory shifts, community center nights, diner talks with Tom. The silence from Lily gnawed at him, a constant ache. He started noticing small things, her old ballet shoes in the closet, a forgotten scarf in the hall. Each one stung, a reminder of the girl who'd once filled his life with light. One evening, at the community center, Alex showed him the finished mural. The rainbow heart glowed under the lights. James's name nestled among others. The kids cheered, their pride infectious. But James felt a pang. He'd built this community, but his own daughter felt out of reach. "You ever tell Lily about this place?" Alex asked, paint smudged on their cheek. James nodded. "She used to come sometimes. Loved the art classes." He didn't mention how she'd stopped, how Ethan's world had pulled her away. Alex tilted their head. "Maybe invite her to the Pride event. Show her what you do." The idea lingered. James drove home, the thought of Lily at the event both thrilling and terrifying. He imagined her seeing the mural, seeing him through the kids' eyes. But would she come? He drafted a text, "Pride event at the center next week. I'd love for you to see it. Love. Dad." He hesitated, then hit send. No response came. The days ticked by, each one heavier. James kept busy, helping the kids with event prep, stringing lights, organizing booths, painting signs. The center buzzed with energy, a stark contrast to his quiet house. At night, he added to the shoebox a poem Lily had written at 10, a photo of them at the zoo. He was building something, though he wasn't sure what. The Pride event arrived, a burst of color and music in the town square. James stood at the center's booth, handing out flyers, his eyes scanning the crowd for Lily. She didn't come. The disappointment was sharp, but he pushed it down, smiling for the kids. Alex performed a spoken-word piece about identity, their voice fierce and raw. James clapped, his heart swelling, but a part of him wished Lily could see him. After the event, Tom found him at the diner, his face serious. "You hear from her?" James shook his head. "Sent a text." "Nothing." Tom sighed, sliding into the booth. "She's stubborn. Like someone else I know." James managed a weak smile. "I just want her to see me, Tom. Not the money I don't have, but me." Tom leaned back, thoughtful. "Write her again. Not a letter. Something short. Tell her you're proud." James considered it. The idea simple but heavy. That night, he sent another text. "I'm proud of you, Lily. Always will be. Dad." He didn't expect a reply, but it felt like a step. The next day, Sarah dragged him to a flea market, insisting he needed a break. They wandered through stalls of vintage records and handmade quilts, the air thick with the smell of fried dough. At a jewelry booth, James spotted a small silver locket, simple but elegant. It reminded him of one Lily had loved as a kid. On impulse, he bought it, slipping it into his pocket. "You gonna give that to her?" Sarah asked, eyebrow raised. "Maybe," James said, "if she lets me." Back home, He placed the locket in the shoebox, alongside the letters and photos. It was becoming a time capsule, a map of their life together. He wondered if Lily would ever see it, if it would matter. The wedding was now 8 weeks away, and the silence felt like a wall he couldn't climb. Then, a breakthrough. A text from Lily. Late at night, got your letter. I read it. No apology. No warmth. But it was something. James's heart raced. He typed a reply, then deleted it, afraid to push too hard. Instead, he wrote in his journal, a habit he'd picked up since the fight. She read it. That's enough for now. The next week, he volunteered at a youth mentorship program, pairing queer teens with adult role models. One of the mentors, Rachel, a lawyer in her 30s, shared her own story of family estrangement. My dad didn't get me for years, she said, but I kept showing up. Sometimes that's all you can do. James nodded, her words echoing Tom's. Show up. Fight smarter. He decided to try again, this time with an invitation. He called Lily, his hands shaking as the phone rang. Dad. Her voice was cautious, but she answered. There's a dinner at the center next weekend, he said. For families. I'd love for you and Ethan to come. A long pause. I'll think about it. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no. James hung up, hope flickering. He spent the week preparing, helping the kids plan the dinner, his mind on Lily. He imagined her there, seeing the community he'd built, the love he'd poured into it. He imagined Ethan, too, maybe softening, maybe understanding. The night of the dinner, James stood at the entrance, his flannel ironed, the locket in his pocket. The room was warm, filled with laughter and clinking glasses. He scanned the crowd, his heart in his throat. Would she come? Would she see him? As the clock ticked past 7, James felt the hope fade. But he stayed, smiling for the kids, for the families, for himself. He was still a father, still a fighter, and he'd keep fighting for Lily, no matter what. The community center glowed with string lights, the air thick with the scent of roasted chicken and fresh bread. James stood by the door, his eyes darting to every new face. But Lily didn't come. The dinner carried on, kids laughing, parents sharing stories, but each passing minute carved a deeper hollow in his chest. He forced a smile, helping serve dessert, chatting with Rachel and Alex. The locket in his pocket felt heavier, a reminder of the hope he'd pinned on tonight. When the last guests left, James stayed to clean, stacking chairs in silence. Alex lingered, watching him. She didn't show? Huh? Alex said, their voice soft. James shook his head, the words too hard to say. Alex hugged him, quick and fierce, before heading out. Alone, James sat on a folding chair, the locket in his hand. He opened it, imagining a photo of him and Lily inside, like the ones in the shoebox. He closed it, tucking it away. Not tonight. The next morning, he woke to a text from Lily. Sorry. Ethan had work stuff. Maybe next time. It was polite, distant, but it was something. James clung to it, replying, anytime. Kid. I'm here. He didn't push, didn't ask about the wedding. He was learning to move at her pace. Work kept him grounded. The factory's rhythm clanging metal. Whirring machines gave him space to think. Sarah noticed his quiet mood and nudged him at lunch. You're not giving up, are you? Never, James said, managing a grin. Just recalibrating. She nodded, passing him a soda. Good. She'll come around. You're too stubborn to lose her. That afternoon, James stopped by the diner, where Tom was wiping down the counter. They talked over coffee, The conversation drifting to James's past. He told Tom about coming out in his 20s. The fear of losing Lily. The relief when she'd accepted him. "I thought we'd always be okay," he said. "But now," Tom leaned forward, his eyes steady. "You're still okay. She's just figuring out who she is. Keep showing her who you are." James took the advice to heart. He started posting photos on social media, not many, but enough. A shot of the Pride mural. A selfie with the kids at the center. A picture of the shoebox. Captioned, "Memories of Us." He tagged Lily, hoping she'd see, hoping she'd feel something. A week later, a surprise, Lily liked one of the posts. No comment. No call. But it was a crack in the wall. James's heart lifted, and he decided to push a little further. He mailed the locket to her. With a note, "For you. Always. Dad." He didn't mention the wedding. Didn't ask for anything. Just a gift. A piece of him. The days blurred. Each one a mix of hope and waiting. James kept volunteering. Kept writing in his journal. Kept adding to the shoebox. He found an old video of Lily's dance recital. Her twirling in a pink tutu. Him cheering from the front row. He watched it on loop. Tears pricking his eyes. He uploaded a clip to the shoebox's digital folder. A backup he'd started on his laptop. One evening, Sarah and Maria invited him over again. Over tacos. They shared their own struggles, Maria's fight to adopt. Sarah's battles with her conservative family. "Family's messy," Maria said, squeezing James's hand. "But it's worth it." James nodded, thinking of Lily. "I just want her to know I'm still here. No matter what." Maria smiled. "She knows. Deep down. She does." The next day, a call from an unknown number. James answered, his heart racing. It was Ethan, Lily's fiancé. His voice clipped, but not unkind. "Lily got the locket. She cried. Man, she's not ready to talk. But she wanted me to call." James's breath caught. "She's okay." "Yeah," Ethan said. "She's just processing. The wedding's a lot. Her mom reached out, too, and it's messing with her." James froze. Lily's mother, Claire, hadn't been in their lives for 18 years. "What does she want?" "Dunno," Ethan said. Lily didn't say much. "Just give her time. Okay." James thanked him, hanging up with a mix of relief and unease. Claire's return was a wild card, a shadow from a past he'd tried to bury. He remembered her leaving, her cold goodbye, the way Lily had clung to him for months after. If Claire was back, what did that mean for Lily? For them? He drove to the community center, needing to clear his head. The kids were planning a fundraiser. Their chatter a welcome distraction. Alex showed him a new sketch. A tree with rainbow leaves. Each one a name from the community. "You're the trunk," Alex said, grinning, holding us up. James laughed. The first real laugh in weeks. But Claire's shadow lingered. That night, he wrote another letter. This one to Claire. Unsent. "You left us. Don't hurt her again." He tore it up. The pieces joining the shoebox. The wedding was 6 weeks away, and James felt the clock ticking. He didn't know if Lily would invite him, if Claire's return would change things, if the locket had made a difference. But he kept going, working, volunteering, loving her from afar. He was a father, and fathers didn't quit. As he fell asleep, the shoebox on his nightstand, he whispered, "I'm here, Lily." And somewhere, he hoped, she heard him. The shoebox sat on James's kitchen table, a silent witness to his hope and heartbreak. Ethan's call about Claire had stirred old wounds, and James couldn't shake the fear that her return would widen the gap between him and Lily. He checked his phone obsessively, but no new messages came. He threw himself into work. The factories hum a steady anchor. Sarah noticed his distraction, pulling him aside during a break. "You're spiraling. Jimmy, talk to me." James rubbed his eyes. Exhausted. "Lily's mom's back. I don't know what she wants, but it's got Lily rattled." Sarah's face hardened. "That woman left you both. She doesn't get to waltz in now." "I know," James said. "But Lily, she might want to see her." Sarah squeezed his shoulder. "Then you be there, no matter what." That night, James drove to the community center, where the kids were rehearsing for a talent show. Their energy lifted him, and he helped set up lights. His hands busy, but his mind on Lily. Alex caught him staring into space. "You okay, Mr. H?" "Just thinking," James said, forcing a smile. "You got your act ready?" Alex grinned, holding up a guitar. "Gonna sing about being non-binary. You think Lily'd like it?" James's heart ached. She'd love it. She used to sing, too. He hadn't told many people about Lily's childhood performances, her voice soft but clear, filling their small living room. He added a memory to the shoebox that night, a program from her middle school choir concert. His handwriting in the margin, "My star." The next day, a surprise. A voicemail from Lily. Her voice hesitant. "Dad, I got the locket. It's beautiful. Can we talk? Maybe tomorrow." James played it again. Then again. His pulse racing. He called back, leaving his own message. "I'm here, kid. Whenever you're ready." He didn't mention Claire. Didn't push. But the hope was back. Fragile, but alive. He spent the day preparing, cleaning the house, pulling out old photo albums. He wanted Lily to remember their life, not just the wedding or the money. He found a picture of them at a pride parade when she was 12, both wearing rainbow beads, laughing. He slipped it into the shoebox, a reminder of better days. The next morning, Lily arrived alone, her car pulling into the driveway. James's heart leapt as he opened the door, seeing her in a sweater and jeans, the locket around her neck. She looked tired, her eyes red, but she hugged him, brief but real. "Hi, Dad," she said, stepping inside. "Hi, sweetheart." He gestured to the kitchen table, where coffee waited. "You okay?" She nodded, sitting, her fingers tracing the locket. "I'm confused. Mom called. She wants to come to the wedding." James's stomach tightened, but he kept his voice steady. "What do you want?" Lily's eyes welled up. "I don't know. She left us. But she's my mom. And Ethan's family is so perfect. I feel like I need her there to balance it." James nodded, swallowing the hurt. "You don't need to balance anything. Lily, you're enough." She looked away, her voice small. "I'm sorry about the money. I was mad. I didn't mean." "I know," James said softly. "I'm sorry I couldn't give you what you wanted." They sat in silence, the weight of years between them. Then Lily spoke, her voice breaking. "I read your letter. All of it. I didn't realize how much you gave up for me." James's throat tightened. "I'd do it again. Every second." She cried then, and he reached for her hand, holding it like he had when she was small. They talked for hours about the wedding, about Claire, about the past. Lily admitted Ethan's family had offered to pay for the venue, but it came with strings, expectations, control. "I just wanted it to be mine," she said. "It will be," James said. "It's your day, not theirs." Before she left, she hugged him again, longer this time. "I want you there, Dad, no matter what. He nodded, tears in his eyes. I'll be there. After she drove away, James sat with the shoebox, adding the day's memory, a napkin from the table, her coffee cup's faint ring on it. He felt lighter, but Claire's shadow loomed. He didn't trust her, not after what she'd done. But for Lily, he'd try. The next week, he met Tom at the diner, sharing the update. Tom grinned, raising his coffee. Told you she'd come around. It's not over, James said. Her mom's still out there. Tom's face grew serious. You talked to Claire yet? James shook his head. Not sure I want to. You might have to, Tom said. For Lily. James knew he was right. He spent the evening writing another letter. This one to Lily. About Claire. Whatever you choose. I'm here. You're my family. He didn't send it yet, but it felt like armor, preparing him for what was coming. The wedding was 5 weeks away, and James felt the tide turning. Lily texted more. Small thinks a photo of her dress. A question about flowers. He answered each one, his hope growing. He didn't have $10. 000. But he had love, and maybe that was enough. As he fell asleep, the shoebox beside him, he whispered, We're getting there. Lily. And for the first time in months, he believed it. James woke to a text from Lily. Can you meet me and Mom tomorrow? Coffee shop in Columbus. 2 p.m. His heart sank. But he typed back, I'll be there. The idea of seeing Claire after 18 years felt like stepping into a storm. But for Lily, he'd face it. He spent the morning at the factory, his hands moving on autopilot, his mind on the meeting. Sarah caught his unease. You're going to see her? She asked, incredulous. Be careful, Jimmy. She's a ghost from a bad time. I know, James said. But Lily needs this. Sarah nodded, her face softening. You're a better man than most. The drive to Columbus was quiet, the Ohio fields blurring past. James gripped the steering wheel, memories of Claire flooding back her laughter, her coldness, her goodbye. He'd loved her once, but she'd chosen a life without them. Now, she was back, and he didn't know why. The coffee shop was crowded, all chatter and espresso steam. Lily sat at a corner table, her locket glinting, her face tense. Beside her was Claire, older but unmistakable sharp cheekbones, blonde hair streaked with gray. She looked polished, like she'd stepped out of a different world. James, Claire said, standing, her smile cautious. It's been a while. Yeah, he said, sitting across from her, his voice steady. A while. Lily fidgeted, her eyes darting between them. I wanted us to talk. Before the wedding. James nodded, his focus on Lily. Whatever you need, kid. Claire sipped her latte, her hand steady. I know I wasn't there, she said. I made mistakes, but I want to be part of this. Lily, your wedding, your life. James's jaw tightened. He wanted to ask why now. Why after years of silence? But Lily's pleading look stopped him. Instead, he said, What do you want? Claire. She met his eyes, unflinching. To make things right. I've changed. James. I'm sober now. I have a job. A home. I want to know my daughter. Lily's eyes welled up, but she stayed quiet. James felt the weight of her hope, her fear. He leaned forward, his voice low. You left us. I raised her. You don't get to just walk back in. Claire's face tightened, but she nodded. I know. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just a chance. The conversation shifted. Lily talking about the wedding. Her voice bright but brittle. Claire offered to help with costs. Her tone casual. But James saw the flicker of triumph in her eyes. Lily hesitated. Then nodded. That'd be nice. James's heart sank. But he stayed silent. They parted awkwardly. Lily hugging them both. Her eyes conflicted. In the car, James gripped the steering wheel. Anger and fear churning. Claire's return wasn't just about the wedding, it was a challenge to everything he'd built. Back home, he added to the shoebox a coffee shop receipt. A note scrawled with "She's back." He called Tom, needing to vent. "She's buying her way in," he said, pacing. "Lily's falling for it." Tom sighed over the phone. "Lily's not dumb. She's just caught up. Keep being her dad." James tried. He texted Lily daily. Small things, memories, jokes, photos from the shoebox. She replied sporadically. Her texts warm but guarded. He sensed Claire's influence, the pull of a mother she barely knew. The wedding was 4 weeks away, and James felt like he was losing ground. At the community center, he threw himself into the kids' projects. Their laughter a balm. Alex noticed his tension, nudging him during a painting session. "You met her mom." "Huh. How'd it go?" James sighed. "Complicated. She wants to be the hero now." Alex snorted. "You're the hero, Mr. H. Lily knows that." James wanted to believe it. That night, he wrote another letter to Lily. Unsent. About Claire. She wasn't there for the hard parts. I was. I always will be. He tucked it into the shoebox. A growing archive of his heart. A week later, Lily called. Her voice shaky. "Dad, can you come to Columbus? I need to talk. Just you." He drove up, his pulse racing. She met him at a park, the locket still around her neck. They walked, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot. "Mom's intense," Lily said finally. "She wants to pay for everything, but it feels like she's buying me." James nodded, letting her talk. And Ethan's familiarity, so controlling. "I just wanted to be my wedding." "It can be," James said. "You decide what matters." Lily stopped, tears spilling. "I'm sorry, Dad, for everything. I was so mad about the money. But it's not about that. I miss you." James pulled her into a hug, his own tears falling. "I miss you, too." They talked until dusk, rebuilding something fragile but real. Lily promised to keep him in the loop, to make sure he was at the wedding. As he drove home, the shoebox in his mind, James felt a spark of hope. Claire was a storm, but he and Lily were stronger. The air was crisp, the Ohio sky a clear blue as James drove to work. Lily's words from the park echoing in his mind. "I miss you, Dad." For the first time in months, he felt like they were on the same side. But Claire's shadow still loomed, a threat to the fragile bridge they'd rebuilt. At the factory, Sarah noticed his lighter mood. "You and Lily good?" she asked, tossing him a rag. "Better," James said, smiling. "She's coming around." Sarah grinned. "Told you. You're a damn good dad." Her words carried him through the day, but doubt crept in by evening. Claire's offer to pay for the wedding wasn't just generosity, it was leverage. James knew her type, charming when it suited her, absent when it didn't. He couldn't let her hurt Lily again. He stopped by the community center, where the kids were decorating for a fall festival. Alex waved him over, showing off a pumpkin they'd carved with a rainbow design. "For you, Mr. H," they said, grinning. James laughed, the gesture warming him. "You trying to make me cry, kid?" Alex shrugged. Just saying your family. Family. The word hit hard. James thought of the shoebox, now overflowing with memories. He decided to share it with Lily, not just as a gift, but as a testament to their life. He spent the evening organizing it: photos, letters, ticket stubs. The lockets receipt each piece a thread in their story. The next day, Lily texted, "Can you come to the venue tomorrow? I want you to see it." James's heart leapt. He drove to Columbus. The venue, a grand hall with chandeliers and marble floors. Lily met him outside, her smile nervous but real. "It's beautiful," James said, taking in the space. "Like you." She blushed, looping her arm through his. "Ethan's family booked it, but I wanted to feel like us." They walked the hall, Lily pointing out where the altar would be, where the band would play. James listened, his pride swelling. She was his daughter, not Claire's, not Ethan's family's. His. "Mom's coming tomorrow," Lily said suddenly, her voice cautious. "She's helping with the flowers." James nodded, hiding his unease. "That's good, kid. As long as you're happy." She squeezed his arm. "I want you both there. Is that okay?" He met her eyes, seeing the girl who'd once asked if he'd always love her. "Always," he said. Back home, he added a venue pamphlet to the shoebox, a symbol of their progress. But Claire's presence gnawed at him. He called Tom, meeting him at the diner. "She's playing the hero," James said, his coffee untouched. "I don't trust her." Tom nodded, thoughtful. "Talk to her. Lay it out. For Lily's sake." James knew he was right. The next day, he arrived at the venue early, finding Claire arranging roses. She looked up, her smile tight. "James." "Claire." He stepped closer, keeping his voice low. "Why now? Why her?" She set down a rose, her eyes steady. "I messed up. I know that. But she's my daughter, too." "She's my daughter," James said, his voice firm but calm. "I was there. You weren't." Claire's face softened, just for a moment. "I'm trying, James. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying." He wanted to argue, to unleash years of anger. But Lily's laughter echoed from the hall. He swallowed it down. "Don't hurt her," he said. "That's all I ask." Claire nodded, and they worked in silence. An uneasy truce. Lily joined them, her smile brighter than James had seen in months. She hugged him, whispering, "Thanks for being here." The wedding was 3 weeks away, and James felt the tide shifting. Lily called more, sharing plans, asking his advice. He sent her parts of the shoebox photos, small notes, each one a reminder of their bond. She responded with heart emojis, old memories, even a voice memo singing a song from her childhood. One night, Sarah and Maria had him over for dinner, their home warm and loud. "You're winning her back," Maria said, pouring wine. "Keep going." James nodded, but Claire's presence lingered. He didn't trust her, but he trusted Lily. He added a final letter to the shoebox, to give her on the wedding day. "You're my everything. Always will be." As the days counted down, James felt a mix of hope and fear. The wedding would be a turning point for him, for Lily, for their family. He didn't know what Claire's role would be, but he knew his, to be the father who never left, who never stopped loving. He fell asleep with the shoebox beside him, its weight a comfort. "We're almost there," he whispered, and for the first time, he felt ready. The wedding day dawned bright, the Ohio sun casting golden light over the venue. James stood in his suit, the shoebox tucked under his arm, his heart a tangle of pride and nerves. Today was Lily's day, but it was also his chance to show her the love that had carried them through. He arrived early, helping set up chairs, his eyes scanning for Lily. She appeared in a white dress, radiant, the locket gleaming at her throat. She hugged him, her smile wide. "You're here," she said, as if she'd doubted it. "Always," James said, his voice thick. Claire was there, too, arranging flowers with a careful smile. They exchanged nods, the truce holding. Ethan's family bustled around, their wealth evident in every detail: chandeliers, silk tablecloths, a string quartet. James felt out of place, but Lily's hand on his arm grounded him. The ceremony was a blur of vows and tears. James walked Lily down the aisle, her arm in his, her eyes shining. He gave her away with a smile, though his heart ached. At the reception, he watched her dance with Ethan, their laughter bright. Claire approached, her expression soft. "She's happy," Claire said. "You did that, James?" He nodded, unsure if it was a compliment or a concession. "We both did, in our way." Before the toasts, James pulled Lily aside, handing her the shoebox. "This is us," he said. "Everything we've been through. I wanted you to have it." Lily opened it, her fingers tracing the photos, letters, the napkin from their coffee talk. Tears fell as she read the final letter, her voice breaking. "Dad, I don't know what to say." "Just keep it," he said, "and know I love you." She hugged him, long and fierce, the crowd fading away. "I love you, too." The night ended with dancing, laughter, and a quiet moment between James and Lily under the stars. She wore the locket, the shoebox in her hands. "I'm sorry for everything," she said. "I was wrong." "You were you," James said. "And that's enough." Claire left early, her role small but present. James didn't mind. He'd fought for Lily, and she'd chosen him not with money, but with love. As he drove home, the empty passenger seat felt lighter, the shoebox's weight now hers to carry. Months later, Lily visited, her smile brighter, her life with Ethan steady but hers. The shoebox sat on her shelf, a testament to their bond. James knew they'd face more storms life always brought them, but they'd weather them together. He fell asleep that night, the house quiet but full, his heart at peace. He'd raised her alone, and she'd come back. That was the victory, the meaning, the love that endured.